Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome to another Chamber Check-In episode from Idaho's only five-star accredited chamber. Today, we get to hear from Brenda Wilson, the Executive Director for FYIdaho. I'm going to bring her on the stage right now. Hi, Brenda.
Hey, Paul. How's it going?
I'm really good. We've got a long weekend ahead of us, and I think my wife and I and our kids are staying home this weekend. So we never do that on these long weekend holidays. So how about you?
Things are good here. Just busy. Yes, looking forward to the nice weekend and getting things caught up and ready to go for the next week.
Awesome. Brenda, you and I have known each other for a long time, and I followed you through some different occupations and careers. But when I first met you, you were the leader of one of our tips groups when I kind of first got started with the chamber. About 10 years ago. And so this is kind of full circle. I'm so glad you're the new executive director with FYIdaho. And I can't wait for people to learn a little bit more about the organization. But first, I'd like to start with you, Brenda. So give us a little bit about your background and history of work that led you into the healthcare industry.
Sure. So I started out, I'm born and raised in Idaho, Boise State University graduate, got my professional career started as a school teacher and educator. I always worked very hard in my schools to make sure we had authentic learning. We had good collaboration with community partners, and we really made sure that our families felt connected to whatever it was we were doing. So when we're going to fast forward to what FYIdaho is all about and about the connections that we make or anything I've done in my professional life, it's all about that connecting. But it started, I feel, back when I was a school teacher and really understanding what those needs were of our children, of the youth, and our families, which is interesting. Now I am where I am. So then from teaching, I went into business development in a variety of occupations, just trying to get my feet wet, seeing, how can I connect and make relationships with people in the community to better our state. It led me to the director of business development job over time with Cottonwood Creek Behavioral Hospital, which is where we did one of these years ago.
Yep.
Fantastic opportunity for me to learn a lot about the healthcare industry, specifically mental health, and how Idaho has been affected by all of the changes in mental health with regards to youth, with regard to families, legislation, etc. And so I worked there for quite some time, and we worked on opening up a variety of services for our state. And that was really, really like my big start in connecting mental health with Idaho. Went to outpatient work in terms of residential treatment and did some work there in business development and creating connections to outpatient services. And then I was, as part of the Meridian Anti-Drug Coalition, we worked on prevention. I was a board member on there. I was the healthcare sector rep. And one of the gals who was also a healthcare sector rep said, you know what? I know this gal, and I think she just might do a really good job on our board at FYIdaho. Now, for those of you who don't know, FYIdaho stands for Families and Youth of Idaho. So just kind of a correlation right there. Yeah. So she approached me and said, hey, what do you think? And she told me a little bit about the organization. And I was like, this is perfect. This is absolutely like a culminating effect of everything that I've ever done, wrapped up in this little package, a perfect bow on the top. And I'm like, absolutely. So I got introduced to the other board members, the executive director at the time, Ruth York, and just started to learn a little bit about what this organization does and just how it helps our community. And then from there, I was actually hired on as their business development director. And then when Ruth was ready to retire, she said, we think you fit the bill. And we discussed that. And now here you've got me. Yeah, it's fantastic. It's a dream come true. It's the culmination of everything I've ever wanted to do. And, to be able to get paid and come to work to do something that is so much fun and has such a big impact is life-changing.
Wow, Brenda, thanks for sharing. There's a history that we have in our lives that put us in the positions that we're in now, and that travel or path is crucial in learning. And I'm glad you found a spot with FYIdaho.
Thank you.
Hey, as we finish up the school year in May, it's also Mental Health Awareness Month, and Idaho schools have experienced a year like no other before with mental health. And I'm just so glad to talk with you today to help share the programs and services that FYIdaho provides today's youth and parents. So this is really important. Um, Share a little bit about FYIdaho's mission and vision before we get into programs and services.
Sure. So, our vision for what we want to do and the mission and what propels us every day is to improve, preserve, and restore the mental health of families and our youth. And we do that by breaking it up into two segments: our family programs and our youth programs. Now, we know they're all interconnected, but in this specific circumstance, we really have a huge support for our families, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And then an on site opportunity for kiddos in our area. We're located downtown Boise, so we're really close to Boise High. So a lot of our kiddos that come to us come from that school district, that specific school. And we really give an opportunity to advocate for kiddos and really give them voice along with the family. So it's connected, but also two very separate opportunities for the families and for the kids.
Okay, so let's dive in a little bit. Tell us how FYIdaho's supporting kids, first of all, the youth.
Sure. Okay. So on the kids section, we have the Boise Brick House, which is located downtown. I can walk to the Capitol. I mean, it is right there. I can see it outside our window. And the opportunity for kids that we provide is a safe space for the children to be able to come, to have connections, to make those connections that they may not be feeling that they have in the space where they're coming from. It's an opportunity for our kids to be able to connect in terms of mentorship. So our youth coordinators are fantastic at connecting with those kids and really being able to be a place that we talk about mental wellness. So everything that we do comes from the topic or the feeling of hope and what can happen. So obviously we know, like you said, the schools have been really, really challenged this year, and we are here to support. So it's that support, that advocation, and really letting kids voice how they're feeling and what they're experiencing in our communities. And then our job here is to take it out and say, okay, community partners, how can we make this better for these kids?
North Junior High started a program at the end of the year this year called Hope Squad. And I really like the way that they've done it. And so I would love to see that even enhance the experience of today's students as well.
Absolutely.
Peer to peer is so crucial.
Yeah, and that's the thing about the connections, because here the youth that come here are looking for strong connections, looking to belong, and this is a safe place for that because they all have that common goal. So it's really fun to just sit back and listen and just hear what it is they're talking about, what's important, because these kiddos are dealing with things now that maybe 5 years ago weren't really the topic of conversation. And there's a couple of reasons and thoughts behind that. And the biggest one is just bringing awareness to what's happening and making it okay to talk about. Yep. And the kids are starting to feel more comfortable. And so it's coming to light. And now it's our job to figure out, okay, how can we all work together to really make a difference and success for these guys?
There's different stress and anxiety on kids. And I've got 3 school-age children, Brenda, and it's just they're all different personalities. And some of them are accepting of it, and others are able to talk about it. Some of them don't say anything about it at all, but you know that they're experiencing it. It's just a little bit different for parents now and when we were kids.
Right.
Anyway, how is FYIdaho helping parents?
On our family side, the biggest thing that we do is we have a family support line, and you'll see that family support line number. I think it'll scroll. Yep, there it is. How about that? Cue the number. This is a great opportunity for families who are needing help navigating the mental health system of care. It's hard enough for us as professionals to navigate and know where to go and what to do. So imagine yourself a parent who's facing challenges now and knowing that their kiddo is having some kind of an emotional reaction or has just been diagnosed with a mental health disorder or challenge. And so they can give us a phone call, and our certified family support partners can help walk them through, navigate the system, be there to advocate for them, teach them how to advocate for themselves. And then we can really help educate them as to, here are some things that you can do in order to educate yourself about mental health and what the resources are that are available for you, so that we can help walk them through the path that they've seen themselves, faced with.
I'm on your website right now, and on the family side, the parents, caregivers side, it says the decision to seek mental health support for your child can be painful and overwhelming. I can't even imagine. So I'm so glad that there's a resource like this support line here. Let's scroll on the bottom of the screen. Tell me a little bit about some of the way you're connecting community. What types of events are you providing that's really connecting youth, parents, and peers?
Sure. So the really cool thing about us is we are statewide. So it is our job as FYIdaho employees and volunteers and board members to really reach out to all individuals within the state. The way we do that is outreach, boots on the ground, going out, educating community partners about what people are struggling with at this point in time in their life and what the needs are, where the gaps are. Now, the other thing that we love to do, and this comes from my really strong conviction of connecting people and really making things authentic and knowing that relationships are how we're going to succeed. If you need help and you have somebody with you that you can count on and talk to, you're going to be ahead of the game. So our job, and one of the wonderful things we get to do, is put on support groups, right? We have virtual support groups that we can provide. The other thing that we just did, so there was a week for Children's Mental Health Acceptance. So it's Children's Mental Health Acceptance Week. And on the 8th, which was a Wednesday, we held here at the Brick House a Children's Mental Health Acceptance Festival. Oh. So we connected a lot of community partners, which we found, and we were strategic in this, community partners that were all in mental health in some way, shape, or form, but that hadn't connected before. Now that's powerful because, I've worked in outreach for quite some time, and to hear, oh my gosh, I got to meet someone I hadn't known before. So we connected people that hadn't even interacted together. And when you're here, you're thinking, oh, I should know this person. I should know that person. It's a big, even though we're a smaller state, there's a lot of individuals doing great work. So connecting them together. That also offered the opportunity for parents to come and see in an open house style and tour the Brick House to see what we are, what we're about, meet our family support partners, meet our employees, our youth coordinators, and really get a feel of what it's like to be here at the Brick House, or be a part of the family support line, or be a part of our family's programs. Now, the other thing we got to do, which I think this is one of our, I think, most successful things that we've done other than the festival so far, is we created a workshop called Uniquely You, connecting others through what makes us different. The really important thing that we need to remember, I believe, about mental health and really becoming aware, people understand it's being talked about, but really understanding that what makes us unique, even in diagnosis, makes us special. And it's not something you have to judge. It's something that we get to learn about. Right. I always tell the story about the person who broke their arm. When you approach a person with an arm that's broken, there's not this weird feeling or this interesting conversation about, oh my gosh, that guy, his arm's broken. Well, with mental health, the discussion sometimes goes in a different direction. Oh, so, right. Yeah, right? It's difficult to talk about it. We don't have to do campaigns about understanding and being aware of broken arms, right? So if we think about it like that, the brain is just another organ in our body. It just works differently. And so what we want to do is really bring awareness to what makes us unique, makes us special, and we are okay with that. And so with that, we created this workshop. We talked about positive language formatting, so finding ways to be positive and use positive words to retrain the brain to not always say, I can't, I don't, I won't.
Right.
How do you reframe? How do you change that channel within your brain going from place to place? About person first language. Now, when we're talking about mental health and acceptance and awareness, person first language is so important because what it does is puts the person before the diagnoses, before the descriptor. So here's an example. We have someone who's been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Instead of saying you are bipolar, you have bipolar, you can say I, or you are an individual who's been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. So the person comes first. You're not identified by your challenge. And that's something, especially with our kids, that we're really trying to teach, is that your past does not define your future. Your diagnosis does not define your success in the future as well, or even currently.
Wow. Brenda, this is great. I'm learning so much today from you. I have a couple questions. We have you for a few more minutes here. When was the organization, when did it start?
Sure. Okay. Yep. 1998, a group of parents who found that there were gaps within the system, there were gaps within our state, came together and said, we need to define what we need, and then we need to create an organization, nonprofit, that helps families and youth with resources, with navigation, advocacy. It's Friday. I've been talking all week. Whew. Advocacy and education. So they created, at this time, it was called the Idaho Federation of Families. Now, just a few years ago, it was renamed to Families and Youth of Idaho, or FYIdaho. But it began many, many years ago because parents knew that they needed to do something to create a resource for people who needed help.
And when was the brick house? When did that start?
Oh gosh, years ago. It didn't start at the very beginning. This is much more of a recent phenomenon, is how we can create this wonderful gathering place for kiddos.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so FYIdaho has been around since 1998, connecting parents and youth with services and resources, all surrounding mental health awareness. What's coming up in the future? Tell us a little bit about what we have to look forward to.
Sure. So we have our summer program for our youth will be coming in Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 1 to 3. So we're open and available for them to continue what they were doing after school here. Next month is Pride Month. So we'll be having an open house on the 12th of June. That is just a really great gathering area where people can come in and ask questions, gather resources, and just talk, because it's a safe place for people to ask, because people don't always know what to say, right? They have questions. And so we want to really be able to provide resources for individuals who might have questions with regards to the Pride community. We want to celebrate and just share all the wonderful things our Pride community is doing to help make Idaho so amazing. And then just to be able to be that resource in that ear and to listen to them, because there may be things that we could do in order to be more successful in what we do in mental health by listening to the voice of those who may be needing it most.
Okay, big virtual hug, Brenda. Big virtual hug. Thank you for your time today. That was awesome. I can't wait to see you at an upcoming event. Thank you for your passion and your energy. FYIdaho is you're the perfect person to help lead for the next generation. So
thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much. This was such a gift. I appreciate being able to be here today.
Absolutely. Brenda, have a great long weekend. Say hello to your team, and we'll talk to you soon.
See you later. Thanks again.